So St. John Chrysostom has a quote from the 4th century that I think that applies a lot to churches now. He writes this: "It is this that ruins churches, that you do not seek to hear sermons that touch the heart, but sermons that will delight your ears with their intonation and the structure of their phrases, just as if you were listening to singers and lute players. And we preachers humor your fancies instead of trying to crush them. We act like a father who gives a sick child a cake or an ice or something else that is merely nice to eat, just because he asked for it, and takes no pains to give him what is good for him, and then when the doctors blame him, says, 'I cannot bear to hear my child cry.' That is what we do when we elaborate beautiful sentences, find combinations and harmonies to please and not to profit, to be admired and not to instruct, to delight and not to touch you, to go away with your applause in our ears and not to better your conduct." So St. John of Chrysostom is basically saying that back in the day, people were focused on filling up the seats at a church. They were not focused on holding other believers accountable, but they were focused on making sure that they feel good with their amazing words and their intellectual sayings so they keep coming back to fill up the seats, right? But that's not the point of church. The point of church is not to be entertained, to always have a good feeling. It's a discipline to go to church every Sunday. It's a discipline to follow Christ's command of abiding in Him and coming into a gathering with His body at church. That's a discipline, because eventually the feeling of wanting to go there, that amazing feeling will go away, because anything with life, you need a discipline to continue it, right? I train, I run, but not every single time I run, I want to keep doing it, but my discipline kicks in. The same thing with church. You don't go to church for a good feeling and hear an amazing sermon. You don't leave a church because the sermon wasn't good or you didn't have that high feeling. You go to church because to receive the body and blood of Christ and to be around fellow believers because Christ told us to. And sometimes that's not always a beautiful saying. Sometimes the homilies aren't that good, but that's not the point of church. The point of church is to follow Christ, eat His body and blood, and to be around the body of believers. And sometimes you won't hear amazing sayings or sermons or have an amazing feeling. And that's what St. John Chrysostom was addressing back in the 4th century. And churches unfortunately fall into that trap now, where they try to fill up the seats and get the high emotion when eventually people just end up leaving when they don't get that high emotion anymore or when they don't like the sermon.